News that his lead attorney was leaving. And we don't know exactly why John Dowd is doing that. He might have been just sort of the odd man out here. But he's out, and a lot of people read into that, continue to read into that, all sorts of awful things. Whether that is necessarily the case or not, Wall Street sells first, maybe starts analyzing or reassessing things later. Right now, we're in the selling phase. The Dow looking at its worst performance so far since February 8th, down about 477 points right now. We've got Dow Jones Newswires chief editor Glenn Hall, Fox Business's Charlie Gasparino, and market watcher Melissa Armo. Melissa, as we look at this now, we're also going to be waiting to hear from the budget director who's going to spell out the spending battle, which is another issue because we might be looking at a shutdown late tomorrow night. But all this came together fast, didn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect storm. But I really think it started Monday. Monday, actually, and I'm going to preface this by saying long-term I'm very bullish on the market, but Monday was the most bearish day in 2018 for me when I look at it technically, because I look at technicals, and here's why. Because we opened, we gapped down, we opened, and we sold off all day. It was just straight selling down. And even that day that we had that big sell-off.
Let's focus on today. Yeah, what do you make of today?
Today, we're going to continue to sell off. We're going to continue to sell off. And again,
so any sort of rumor, nastiness, anything, just they bounce, they sell.
We don't even need a reason. The market's selling off. We're not near the highs. We're coming in. But again, overall, we're strong. But today, we're going to sell off. So if you're in the market long term, I don't think there's a reason to panic. But if you're a year away from retirement, then maybe you should take some profit.
A common theme here seems to be anything that looks like the president could be in trouble, even if it's way overdone, the markets take a hit.
Right. We've been talking about this for a while. I mean, usually, at first, the Mueller probe was not existential to the market, and now it is. And at least there's an algorithm that's plugged into anything Mueller related, including John Dowd. We should point out that John Dowd...
This lawyer's resignation... The VIX went nuts.
Went nuts.
Shooting up 20%.
Right. I mean, that's been happening a lot with Mueller stuff, and we've been reporting that out. Now, why is that happening? I think the market is sensing. This is the market. So I'm not saying Donald Trump is guilty. The market is sensing that there is something more here, and that this is not just a nothing burger. This is not, deep state. This is that Mueller has him on something. I will say one other thing, though. The trade stuff is another thing that's existential to this market. And just look at it this way. If you're a long-term investor, and listen, I like the fact that he's cutting taxes, but think about what they're doing. They're engaging in protectionism. We're probably going to get higher budget deficits, because the first year of the tax cut does not produce the revenue and so you get higher interest rates. You get all that together, and you got some instability in the White House, and that's not.
It doesn't take much to push. In other words, Glenn, now Dowd was the lead personal attorney for the president. He was at loggerheads with some of the other lawyers, so maybe this is not worthy of even a Fox alert here, but it does raise, to Charlie's points, concerns. What else don't we know?
Right. Yeah, there were tensions there about whether or not the president should or shouldn't give an interview with Robert Mueller, and Dowd was on the other side of that, thinking he shouldn't. So you see that,
supported by a lot of other lawyers, including our own Gina Napolitano, was it's never good for a president to do that and set himself up for something, especially one who talks.
Yeah, and the Trump administration also is bolstering the legal team on his defense side, so that gives reason to believe that they're preparing for a bigger fight. So that could be also playing on this.
A different fight. We should point out this weekend was not a very good weekend for John Dowd. I know John a little bit, covered him as a white-collar attorney, very famous for giving the press the finger. Remember that whole thing during the Raj Ratnam trial? He was representing Raj on the insider trading charges and lost the case. John Dowd is a fighter. Okay, he's a courtroom fighter. Okay, where this is interesting is that they have now hired Joe DeGenova, another lawyer I know, who is not necessarily a courtroom fighter, but he's a media fighter. He will go on air and he will fight like hell, and he's very, very persuasive. My guess is that the Trump and whoever's around him advising him, and I don't exactly know who it is, they're saying that this Mueller thing is taking a turn, and this is one thing you could surmise. We're going to need to go public with this. And, here's one thing I should tell you. Impeachment is not necessarily legal. Impeachment is political. It's public.
I don't think it's good for the country.
I know that. But think about what he's thinking. If you're game planning as a lawyer, we're going to have to sway public opinion. We get rid of a guy that's not necessarily good on TV, and we bring in a really good guy on TV, Joe DeGenova.
How much of this market's fate, Melissa, is built on the president and him being politically stable?
Well, since we ran up since he got elected, obviously the market has liked Trump. But I think overall, people don't like this. It's just not good. I mean, It's not a good feeling. He is our president.
It's an uncertainty that they don't need.
It's an uncertainty. It's sell now and worry about it later, because you can always buy back in. So I think the market is just reacting.
So anything that looks, and we've seen this before, right? I mean, we see a development today that looks, oh, maybe Mueller's going after him, or the Russians that were seized. Who might have been, willing perpetrators and all this. Market sells off. Then you find out no American entity was taken in. The markets come back. We've seen this again and again and again.
That's right. There's a lot of sort of volatility back in the markets, and we were bouncing off those highs, so there was some hesitation there. But what you're seeing, I think, is exactly the reflection of, will this president be able to continue to champion the kind of changes that have made the market happy so far?
Or will the rubber meet the road? I mean, listen, one thing to erase this, if we had a GDP print today of 3.2%, anything above 3, this market would reverse. And I think the market is just pricing in the fears that I think, the economy is not going to respond to the tax cuts as much. We might get higher deficits, higher interest rates, a trade war. But if the thing that cures that always for markets is better corporate earnings and better economic growth. And if we get those two, then this is a big buy.
We're still bullish. The market's still an uptrend. We could sell off all day today. We could sell off all week. We could sell off all month. I mean, the
down
areas
for the year, though.
I know, but we've been up. We've been going straight up.
Don't you find him to be a very jaded person?
I'm a glass.
He's like the opposite of me. That's why you set us next to each other.
There's a lot of different things going on all at once, as you were noting before.
You can seize on a lot of concerns here. I'm not going to characterize it as positive or negative, but yeah, you got the trade war thing that could escalate. The fact that the president now has extended this to intellectual property, that's a weird one.
And the tech sector is the one that has been driving the bus, right?
Absolutely. And then it is the tech sector right now that seems to be just in and out of correction territory once again here. So they're feeding on not only Facebook, but virtually everyone that's going along. Amazon, when last I thought, that was down to almost $40. It's had a great run up. To your point,
they've had a great run up. Things can't go up in a straight line forever. I mean, be realistic.
Let me write that.
Yeah.
Down. Can't go up in a straight line.
Yeah, and they won't go down straight line.
But the market has cut Amazon, the biggest break in the world. They say, we don't care about your earnings, which aren't so great, as you know. But because you're Amazon and everybody's going to you, and you have all these great management and you have a great product, we cut you a break and you could trade a gazillion times earnings. Okay, if we engage in a trade war that affects tech, it doesn't take much for that mentality among analysts and investors to turn. And I'm just saying that
China is a problem, though. China is a problem. They've been stealing all of the intellectual property.
That doesn't mean
so you're okay with this response?
I'm telling you that short term the market may not like it, but long term it's better for the economy. I think it's better for the country.
But do you think Amazon keeps going straight line up if we're going to get into this match?
No, maybe it doesn't. But so what? I mean, it's still strong.